Like one time I was sitting in the kitchen in a chair because I was so fatigued and so lightheaded, getting up would be stupid, and this was like after I'd puked in the sink. Because this was just bad. And it just, as I sat there, I became really, really calm. And I just had this understanding of myself as a scorpion. Now, in these episodes, I did not feel any phantom limbs or anything, but I was extremely calm and extremely centered. And there was no thinking about it. It was just, I realized it. The walls came down and I realized it. And these aren't the only two instances. There have been, a few others. Now, some of them were in my worst moments, but, some of them were just, where, yes, I was sick, and I wasn't particularly happy, but I wasn't particularly miserable either. And it was just a very spontaneous, well, now I identify as a scorpion, and I'm flat out convinced I'm a scorpion. Also, I'm convinced I'm a human. And it's like, I don't know how to explain it because I was very calm. All the times this has happened, I've been extremely calm and extremely centered. And it's like, I finally know who I am. I finally get it. Finally. The walls have come down, and this is what I am. This is why I didn't feel human. This is it. Now I do feel human. I feel both at once. But this is it. And I get it now, and I understand myself. Not completely, but I understand myself. And it's very hard to describe. Now, in moments like this, I think that if somebody would, say, induce this sort of sensation, perhaps through psychedelic drugs or drumming or meditation, it would probably be a good thing to have a babysitter of sorts there. And by that, I just mean somebody to watch you and make sure that you're not, crawling all over the floor and, in my case, I don't know, trying to, like, burrow into something or something, But, yeah, it's extremely hard to explain because in the other not episodes, but in the other times where I have tried to sort of figure out what I am, and I suspect I'm this, I suspect I'm that, I actually had stories. I actually thought I had memories. I actually thought that I was feeling an aspect of myself. And in a way you could say that I was, but it just did not feel nearly as authentic. So, I guess it maybe took being convinced that I was going to die pretty soon to actually, get myself to say, you know what? Fuck it. Screw it. I'm a scorpion. Sorry for the language, by the way. So, now it's very interesting that Therianthrope Andrew H. observed that a scorpion is pretty alien. Well, yeah. And I remember that many times when I was trying to grasp my identity, I knew some things. I knew that my form would not be something necessarily that I could set my watch to. It wouldn't be like, oh, it's a humanoid with wings. Oh, it's definitely, it's something I'm familiar with, like a wolf. It wouldn't be something familiar and normal and would be very drastically different from a human. Even if it was a cat, there's still 4 limbs there. Excuse me, and no claws and fur and a skeleton on the inside as opposed to an exoskeleton. I mean, I had the sense the color would be black, and now I just have this, and I've always kind of had the feeling that the color would be black, but now I have that feeling even more. Blue is my favorite color, by the way. Black is one of my favorite colors. Black's not a color. But blue is my favorite color, so that's the color I would actually prefer, but oh well. And there are blue scorpions, but oh well. I had the sense that it would look demonic, like that other people would, upon seeing it would call it demonic. Or would call it a monster, or a devil, or some kind of alien. And that's exactly right. The human mind trying to grasp itself. The hand cannot grasp itself. There's your moment of Zen. But the human mind trying to grasp itself as a scorpion, that's going to be very difficult. It's very likely to say, this is alien to me, which is what in retrospect my mind did. Incidentally, in Islam, there are demons that are portrayed as scorpions. Human beings tend to think of scorpions as not pleasant, as monstrous, evil things. Not always. The ancient Egyptians had a scorpion goddess by the name of Serket, and she was associated with both scorpion stings as well as healing scorpion stings. But a great many, many cultures have an association with scorpions evil. And who wants to get stung by a scorpion? Even in Georgia in the summer, it's a good idea to check your shoes. Now, those little things that, like to hang out in our shoes, they're not poisonous, but even still, nobody wants to get stung. Check your shoes. And it's very natural for humans to ascribe intent to things. If you ask a little kid, why are the clouds there? They might answer, they're likely to answer with something like, the clouds are there so we have something pretty to look at, or something. Or why are the trees there? And it's not like anyone has any intention for, like putting trees here, unless you believe in intelligent design or something, which not with a 10-foot pole. Now, moving right along. But it's not like the trees had some kind of reason to be trees or something. But it's very human to, just, especially as a child or something, just to think, well, maybe the trees are there so there's something for the birds to land on and make their homes in. So, yeah. Now, I do draw some associations with my own identity as a scorpion and some other things. However, I don't have all those figured out. But it is interesting to look back and note, to many people, scorpions do look demonic or monstrous. And in trying to understand myself and grasp at what I knew, the ideas I was forming were demon and monster and space alien. So, yeah, an arachnid with an exoskeleton is going to look pretty unusual to a mammal with an endoskeleton. And I also know that there's more to the story. Now, I do not want, and there's inconsistencies. Now, I do not want to elaborate on my associations on this channel because I don't fully understand them. When I have a better grasp of my associations and my feelings and my intuition, then I will be much happier to talk about it. Because then I will not be... Well, if I talked about it now, I would be talking about other people. I might be talking about other people's religions or something and treading on ground that's just not my place to tread on because it's not something I know a whole heck of a lot about. Having said that, I will talk about my associations in private. Now, also I know that there's more to the story. Now, when I say more to the story, it could be that I identify as some sort of strange celestial winged scorpion from some alternate dimension called Blibbity Blop, whatever. But it may be something. It may be something more grounded, like, okay, so I've discovered part of my mind, and I've discovered these associations, and what I was missing was a realization that these memories in my past caused my mental makeup to be shaped in this unusual way, and this is why I draw these associations. Oh, now I get it. Now I have this other piece of the puzzle, and I've put everything together, and I understand it now. Okay. So yeah, I don't have all the pieces. I know I don't have all the pieces. I know Scorpion is only part of the story, or at least it's only a piece of the puzzle. But it is a crucial piece, a keystone, a centerpiece, and that's fantastic. Well, I guess if I'm using the metaphor of a jigsaw puzzle, it might be a corner piece. But moving right along, also there are some inconsistencies. For example, I have a very, very deep lure attraction to Iceland. There are no scorpions natural to Iceland. I don't... Yeah, so I guess these things are not connected. Let's see, what are some other inconsistencies? The associations that I draw with this scorpion is... it would make more sense to perhaps Middle Eastern cultures or something, which I have not been really exposed to beyond the normal exposure, as far as maybe reading an article about something happening on the Gaza Strip or something, or just studying, ancient Egypt, or like ancient Syria and Iraq, and where ancient Sumer was, and of course, like Greece has its own associations with scorpions and blah da da da, and South America, I know Central and South America, there's stories, but these are all cultures that I haven't been exposed to in any meaningful way. It's not like I grew up in an ethnic neighborhood. I mean, I've known a lot of people from different places, and have had a lot of friends from different parts of the world, but it's not like I ever really immersed myself in any culture where scorpions and scorpion symbolism or mythology regarding scorpions are terribly prevalent. and it's not in my ancestry either that I know of. Now, you could say that we're all Africans in that we are all, if you trace us back far enough, descended from Africa. Okay, yeah, but my, in my line, the separation from Africans is pretty far. The cultures I'm going to relate to and the ancestry that I have, there's a lot of German and a lot of Scottish, and there's some English and some Irish. So that's the kind of thing I was exposed to, and it's also the sort of thing that my ancestry harkens back to. So I can certainly understand those who believe that one's own ancestry has a great effect on one's own spirituality, and I'm actually somewhat sympathetic. That's a mischaracterization, excuse me. I actually empathize with that line of thinking because I feel very deep ties to Germanic mythology and to that whole mythos. So scorpions don't really fit in there. There are European scorpions, absolutely. However, scorpions don't show up as a prominent symbol in any of the mythologies that I've studied that come out of Europe. Like in Slavic Romuva, which is Lithuanian paganism, Celtic, Germanic. Scorpions just don't really show up. Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong. Please do. But they just don't show up in the mythology and the symbolism. Perhaps there's some weird Indo-European form of animism or something that I'm not aware of where they show up. I don't know. But to my knowledge, it doesn't seem it doesn't seem to be there. Whereas if you look into other mythologies around the world, scorpions show up. But these are mythologies that I don't feel any particular tie to. So there is an inconsistency there. However, there is absolutely no denying my identity anymore. I'm done with that. I won't say I'm done with my search because, as I've said, there's more. Not necessarily more kintypes or stereotypes or phenotypes or whatever language you want to use. I doubt that there is. I don't reject Blindakin out of hand. I recognize that different people can have many different aspects to them, and to suggest that somebody can have only one stereotype, for example, I think is very narrow-minded, because I tend to go for the psychological approach, and the human mind can look like whatever it wants. However, when you get into, rattling off a list of 10 really cool animals that you think you are, I tend to roll my eyes and wonder how genuine you're being. That's just my opinion. Of course, if you have a different opinion, that's fine. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I just don't warm up very well to Blindakin that have this whole list of identities, and they all just happen to be really cool. There's so many of them, and gosh, they're so cool. As opposed to as opposed to saying I am a sloth and a tree frog and a seen enemy. And yeah, having a few like that would be unusual, but more believable, because it's not like all high and mighty. And even those who do identify as high and mighty things, actually, I don't automatically reject those out of hand either, but what I look for is, has the person taken time to really reflect? Has the person taken time to reflect upon, say, the nature of divinity, if they are claiming to be something of a divine origin? What is their theology like? What is their spirituality like? What is their religion like? If they have a religion. Some of us are atheists. Some of us are agnostics. Many of us are pagans. Some of us are animists. Some of us are Christians. Some of us are Hindus. Some of us... I've yet to meet a Muslim otherkin or a Therian. However...